There we go. I think we're recording now. Perfect. And I will just make sure that I've got those two things open so I can see if anyone pops in. And then I will also share my screen. All right, cool. It's the March 11th at 12 o'clock, 12:02 more specifically. This is the surveys and forums. I'm going to rename this to surveys and forums part 1 and 2 because apparently I can't do math when I am trying to do a training. So I just am going to redo this from scratch from the first one and kind of combine parts of the second one in. So that said, we can just dive right in. Upon going to your specific club, obviously, like you just saw me do from the homepage, either search or you have it on your assigned club up at the top. And then you've got all your main tiles. We're going to be clicking on one of the purple ones called Surveys and Forums. And it's going to show everything, right? So everything that you've got listed, as you can see from the left side navigation, you're going to have two options here, all surveys and forums, which shows all of the created things that you've made, any obviously active ones, and then workflows, which is another way of basically automating a process by triggering something inside of the survey itself or the form or what have you. It's a little bit more of a complicated thing, and that's something I'm going to be going over on Thursday on the third training. But back to the oral surveys and forums. I kind of want to hit create here, and one thing I want to do is just kind of go over some of the differences of what we're creating and what we're making, right? So a forum is basically collecting data from one individual. So if I wanted to make, say, a one card application, from John Smith, that I would, have a form that then John Smith would fill out and put all of his information that is needed in that form, and that would be what a forum is, right? So it's single collecting data from a single user versus a survey, which is collecting information from multiple users and then being able to kind of filter that out and see specifically what those results are. So like if you're trying to get a feedback survey and know more about how you can improve an event or doing something, a survey would be a great use and tool for that. Whereas polls, they really ask, as you can see, that one question, and you can then view those live results. In the first training that I attempted to do, we kind of saw that didn't really work out as well as we had hoped it would with the view live results. Obviously, you have to refresh the page for those live results to kind of come in. And in a second, you'll see why the ask one question thing may not exactly make sense exactly to what we're hoping it will. And I know that doesn't really fully make sense, but just bear with me on that. Elections are things where you have profiles, right? Like, and you have, so student senate's doing their elections coming up here, and this would be a great example of something to use elections with. It kind of creates this package of a bunch of of a format which will allow you to have a bunch of candidates in a specific thing. Part of that, the template, right? And then it would allow you to be able to do things like, hey, I don't want to choose anyone in this, or I want to be able to see their picture or a video. It kind of allows you to do a bunch of things that you would either have to do as an individually and remember to do for each specific user. Instead, election kind of encapsulates it all into one. It makes it really easy and simple, which is nice. So you could use these for your elections for, like, say, officers, club officers. I know that there have been a couple clubs that have actually used this, that feature. So that's another thing. And then what I attempted to do on the first training, which was the quiz, which is basically, we use this in ELT for the incentive program for doing answering, trying to see if the person who watched, say, a video that we made or something actually understands what they've learned, and before we give credit to it. So, I did it based on math, and I can show you that here in a second as well. But yeah, that's kind of everything. That is what makes surveys and forums this tile. It's got a lot of stuff to it, and it can get really complex. It can be very simple. It just really depends on what you need to use it for. And so I would tell you that my first big piece of advice is to figure out what you need. You want it to actually be about, or what you're trying to get information from, or you know what you want the form to actually do for you, and then be able to kind of design it from there, right? So um, I'm going to go ahead and now go to, again, kind of the simple one here with the poll, um, and show, hey, we had the favorite color poll, right? So and I think I didn't finish this, but essentially this is a poll on your favorite color. Are you ready? And then I think I had, do you like the color blue, right? And so you can, yes, no, maybe. I have no answer for that. And then you're just basically submitting it. And so that submitting it goes straight to, so it gives you a thank you, and then it goes straight to one of the submissions right here, right? So I just answered that. Um, Now, if we were to go look at that a little bit more specifically, right? Go back to this favorite color poll, and we hit edit on the right-hand side. You would see that we've got a few different things going on, or actually quite a few different things going on. One, up here at the left-hand side, we have the name, which is what is going to show up right here, right? So if you named it something different, that's what it would look like, right? But so always make sure that you have your name up here. This, I don't usually use this. I reference it because I feel like this doesn't it makes things a little disorganized. But you can put something right here, and then say test, and then when you save that and then you actually go to view it, it's going to put right here, as you can see. And I feel like that doesn't always look that great, so I don't do that. So, um, but uh, again, that's how I use it. You're right. So again, know what you want to use it for. If we were to look at some of these tools here on the side, so that you kind of feel like you understand a little bit more about what's going on. This takes you to the main settings of this survey, which I'll show you in a second. This binoculars lets you see the preview of what you've done. And this is going to be what you're going to use a lot, right? Like if you want to try seeing how something looks, and you're like, oh yeah, I thought that looks great. Everything except for that one part, and then you have to go and you modify it. I mean, that is what you end up doing a lot of the time. And then adding a new page, which if I was to click on that, it would add a new page down here. You can add as many pages as you want, right? You can add as many questions as you want, at least to my knowledge, on each one of these pages, and as many pages as you want. It really just, I haven't seen any stop or any limit. But and then if we go over to here in the middle, we have save as PDF. This will just save the document as a PDF document. Your answers thus far, right? If we wanted to expand our pages, which they currently are, we would click on that. But if we wanted to collapse them, we would do that, right? So if you have a lot of pages, you could do something like that to help kind of make them a little bit more manageable, and then expanding them opens them back up, right? And then this takes you back to the previous page with all of your surveys and forums. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we got going on here across the top. So now taking a look down here at of that first page, and this is what it's going to look like with any one of, whether it's a poll, a forum, a survey, an election, it's going to be all the same. It's going to look exactly like this. So just to make you aware of that. Like, so I'm gonna have that same layout. So what I'm showing you right now on the poll is not only gonna be specific to the poll, and you're gonna get value out of this if, say, you don't use the polls at all, right? You still get value out of what I'm showing you. And so the introduction can be useful, and you can do a lot of different things with your introduction. This is a introduction to the poll on your favorite color, right? Um, and one thing to note is this has an autosave feature. So as soon as you're done doing something, so if you look up here and I hit something, not modify, not save, as soon as I click somewhere else, I usually just click off the page, it then will show you that it updated. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, so now let's go ahead and use the binoculars feature to see what we've done, right? So again, we have to do that, and then it'll show you this is a poll on your favorite color, what your favorite color is, right there, up there. So, and I will go back here, oops, to show you a few things that I'm realizing that I have some of these settings all set up, so it's gonna be like, what am I looking at here? But what I want you to just focus on though is, yeah, introductions are great. If I was to go to another, let's just go to the executive leadership team and show a version of that, right? We have I had this campus fun day sign up, right? So if I click on this, and I don't have any submissions, right? But I could go ahead and hit edit. As you could see, this is what it looks like, right? So this is an introduction. And so I do have up here, reserve your table for the involvement fair. So it would look like this, right? You know, boom, just like that. And I like how that looks right now. It kind of gives like, this is your main header, this is a subheader, this is the start to your paragraph, right? So something to think about on that. And then if I was to then show, again, as we continue on down that, right, um, uh, I could do a little bit more here, right? So the way that Wolfpack Connect lets you kind of make changes right on the page, right? So right from here, you can also do an advanced HTML, which you saw right here, right? You can be able to edit your page. And so if you wanted to format something in Word or whatever, and then paste it in, you could do that, right? Or if you wanted to have some specific formattings or size, the specific font, something like a link, like I've got right here, right? So as you can see, I have that right there. You could do that, right? And if you wanted to go a little bit more advanced and set it up so that it was done through HTML, you could also do that as well. But once you do it the first time and save it, you'll have to do it like this for the future. So I can't do it like this right now because I don't have that option anymore. I can type here, but I can't just do that from here. So something to remember for that. And so, yeah, if we go back, we can go back to the poll here, and I first have to make sure that I have to go back to the test group club. Because I'm in the executive leadership team. So back in test group club, and you just start from scratch here. So poll and click on that, March 11th poll. Um, Here is the intro to the poll. And so we can add question. And so I have seen that for polls, really the thing that you would want to use is where is it? View. I would say for polls, you're going to end up just truthfully just creating anything with maybe a multiple choice, right? As you're trying to maybe get more information from a selected control of options, right? So I thought I was going to see one, but it wasn't. You could also, so here's something to look at, right? And this is why I say that there's so much and it's so complex, is that on any one of those options, the poll, quiz, the survey, there's going to be this list of things to choose from, right? And so, kind of going down this list, free text, a single line, meaning so it just gives you one line to really use. So if I was to do this is a single line, right? Hit save. As you can see, that's what that does. Now, multiple choice single selection. So multiple choice, multi-choice, single select, right? So option one, as you see, you can have to hit option two and option three. Oops. Save. And so now you can only hit one of them at a time, right? It doesn't let you select more than one, just one. Moving on, same thing, multiple choice. This is how you can tell it's different. So multi-choice, multi-select. One, two, three, four. You can tell that it's different because these have squares instead of circles, right? So multiple choice, multiple selection have squares instead of circles. And so therefore you can then select as many as you want, or whatever you've determined in the settings. Moving on, we've got free text multi-line. So this is like free text single line, except um, free text you can do as much as you want. Um, again, as much as you want, with depending on the max that you set. But let's hit save here. I could type as much as I want for as long as I want, right? As opposed to this, which just lets you do one single line. Um, and then moving down on, this is awesome. This lets you upload something. So upload here, right? So upload a document. So if I was to actually view it, it would let you upload a document there. And then you can pick a date, like pick your time reservation, right? So boom, you can then, it would then let you actually, again, if I was to preview it, it would actually let you select it. And then moving on, we go down to the group list drop down. So you can specify if you want to have specific groups a part of this. So I'm just going to hit student club. And as you can see, this just shows me all the student clubs. You can do groups, clubs, orgs, all of them, or again, specific. And then ranking. So this one's a little bit different. This is a ranking option. Um, so one, two, three, four, and hit save. And I thought I knew this, to be honest, originally, but I was wrong. And it's something I had to learn. But like these, let's say, actually, I'm going to edit this, make this a little bit more. Apples, oranges, bananas, and then and then grapefruit. And now I hit save. Now you're basically ranking, so if one is if four is supposed to be the best or one is supposed to be the best, you would do like, oh, I like apples technically the best. And then oranges. Um, I would say I do like oranges next. Um, bananas would go there and grapefruit I don't like. But right, so but I couldn't actually select. I'm not supposed to actually be able to select everything on the same thing. Let's actually try to do it in real. So yeah, so it doesn't actually let you. Um, so every basically there has to be only one um, radio button still filled in at one time. Only one for one selection. So apples and oranges can't both have one underneath them. Only one. So it would be some sort of diagonal thing basically every time, or else it could have a few different weird looking things or whatnot, but as long as they don't fall under the same column, that would be okay. But yes, it's a little bit weird to get used to. I thought it was a little bit different where you could actually do multiple things on the same thing, and I learned that in the first training technically as well. So just something to remember. And like I show you that pick the time, I could pick the time reservation, upload file. It would let me upload a file, right? And as you can see, this is everything we've got so far. Going back to what we just did. Um, and so going to edit and now going down to the next thing. And so election. So this is actually another thing, right? That is weird because you would think the election is only solely for election, but it's not. They, truthfully, pick your candidate, pick your, I can't pick your person. Um, and so then you could say, start typing it would fill in auto select. So I'm going to do my student one. He is a great guy, right? And then I could put a video in here if I had something. So if I wanted to, maybe if I change this over to the ELT stuff, and then I grabbed a video from this, from our content, right? So if I was to, um, actually, if I was to do it like this, and then I was to share and embed. So if I was to copy this iframe and then go back over to wherever I had that, I could put that down. I could, and then I can continue to add candidates basically. So like, do me next, right? So, and then let's just do another video of something else. So you can see the difference. Um, and then share and embed and copy. Now, this should work, but it would be just my luck if it didn't. And paste another great guy and save. And there you go. So person one, person two, and then, so header, subheader, little video that lets you see that. So, and then again, if I was to preview that, it looked like that, right? And so it would actually show the person just like that, right? Which is actually kind of cool. And is nice actually. But as you can see, there are tiny things that I think should happen. Maybe this would help a little bit. Let's see if save change. Yeah, and so now if we were, let's see if we did that. Yep. So adding a little break right in there actually doesn't keep it all in that same thing right there. There's little tiny things you just see in the room. But okay, so cool. That's awesome. So we know what that one is like, right? So moving down, signature. So write your signature here and then you hit save. And then again, you looked at it, it would ask you to just put your digital signature down for our version of that, you know. And moving on, quiz. So again, we have quiz options inside something that obviously shows us all these different things, but um, what color is the sky? Just, I'm not doing math, so I'm gonna hopefully get this right. Um, Red, yellow, and we got blue, right? So we can also randomize it, which is nice when you're doing a quiz. Total number of points you would get, let's just do 1 point, and then hit save, right? So, and sometimes it does this. I would just, if you notice this happening, I think this is just a weird glitch that I've noticed that sometimes it's duplicating things, but they're not really duplicated. They're actually just it's just like showing it. So it's almost like the page should fully load, right? So because if we viewed it, it wouldn't actually be there, right? So and as you can see, the signature one showed up right there, but it didn't duplicate anything. So if I was to now hit blue and hit submit, I would get that right? So sometimes when I see this, I try just to refresh it to see if it goes away. And as you can see, it does. So just do that in case that ever happens. One thing that you can do is you can actually move these around. So that makes it, so I'm going to hit cancel actually. So write your signature here. So now we can do the next one. So quiz, user selector. So pick your teammates. And then again, review that. It's the same thing as how I was picking it out here, but now it just lets me start typing a name, finding it, and then selecting it. So, however, you can use that for a lot of cool different things, right? So, and then um, Rubric. Um, honestly, I don't know. I've not used this one to be honest. Rubric question. And this is answer one. The legend to answer one. And then I'm just going to do it like this. 4, 3, 2, and copy, paste, 4, 3, 2. And hit save. Let's see what we got. So, so that's somewhat similar to multi-choice single selection, right? But it looks like it adds some context to it when you're making a decision. And then I think the last one is a binding field. So, and that one is for doing things that are more logic based, so that you would be able to say select something if a user selects a say if they were to select answer for, you could have it binding to, say, something like a specific approval process, and then that would honestly start the process up. Um, and that might be something that you're only seeing because I'm an admin. But if you ever need to use that, you can contact me and we can work on that at that time. But yeah, because there's not really many things you would need to use that for. But so that kind of is in a nutshell, all of our different types of things that we can do, right? And again, those are like it for any single thing that we select in here, it's the same way. So if I did select C survey, it would do that, show the same thing, right? Or, election, right? Same thing, right? So I can add a question. And again, as you see, all those things are going to be right there, right? So I don't know. I would assume that they want to make it so that you have options to be able to um, really customize the thing that you're trying to do. So if this is an election, right? You could really customize it how you wanted it to look. But it really just depends on what you want. But yeah, you would be using the majority of what you would be using would be this feature, right? So you can add it into anything that you're technically doing. So just something to think about. But if we went back and looked now at, I would say, um, let's take a look at maybe the settings now, right? So a couple things to look at. So um, when we were in, it's all the same page. There is a manage. You could click on manage, and it would take you. You could click on settings from there, right? Um, and if you were to, by the way, if you were to one thing is you're going to see a lot of the same things for a lot of the same things, right? So we clicked on this, then we hit edit, and remember I said it's over here. Well, you can do it from settings on any one of those, things that you created. So, but just to keep with consistency, we're going to click on that settings, and then from there, it's going to then give you some options. And I'm going to kind of go through these, and then I'm going to show you what those options look like. So it makes a little bit more sense. So, yes, obviously, whoever the author is, this is only going to be your officers of your club or your group. So these are all everyone who I have listed. So it could be any one of us, but it can't just be a general member, right? And then again, the name, which is the same from up here. If you change it here, it's going to change it over here. And then again, the type. As you can see, it adds this extra one called job application. We've never used that, so maybe something to for us to explore in the future. But um, if it's anything like the fact that these are very much similar in that they give you the same layout and kind of the building blocks, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see how it would look or whatever. But yeah, so then you can do a short description. That short description will show up like on this one. So if I was to do preview this, that's what this short description is. It basically just puts this little start button on here and then does you know anything that you want put down on there, right? So that's what that does. And then a custom confirmation message, I believe that was actually, if we hit start, um, yeah, let's see where that ended up. Oh, so yeah, this puts it, so confusing, yes. This puts it at the very bottom. So if I was to do this, take this, right, hit start and then do yes, and then hit next, um, and then submit, right? It would show up. This is that custom confirmation submission sentence, right? So that's where that shows up, right? Now, if I was to go back and take a look, um, and what's next, right? So then you can see we got have some other things. So this is for that workflow thing that you saw on the down here, right? So this kind of, and I'm gonna try to get rid of a few of these tabs, extra tabs right now. And let's see what else I can get rid of. Yes, yes. All right, that helps me out a little bit. Yeah, so You can have a specific template for a workflow, which again is just an automated thing. So I use this if somebody says that they want to speak to the advisor afterwards, and they select yes, then that triggers a workflow, which then sends me a message that says somebody wants to talk to me. So, and then I can know that I can contact and reach out to them. So there's a lot of different ways you can use a workflow, but when you basically select the template to use of that workflow, it basically overrides the existing way of you submit something and it shows up and then you've got some results, right? It's like it kind of automates it to the point where it kind of hijacks that so that that you don't have to manually check it. It's doing something per whatever the results or this the selected choice was. Hopefully that made sense. I can understand maybe if that didn't, but it's just a way to make something automated, make the actual thing automated, the form or whatever. You can require this to be something that has to be done by all any member that's validated, right? So if you have that option when you're in your members tab, to if you have pending validate members pending validation, those validated members are obviously meaning that they're full-fledged members of the group. Where you can say I want all validated members, or you can say I want non-validated. So maybe there's somebody who joined the group, but they're only joined it in the sense that they're waiting to be validated. Maybe you can have um, a forum that they have to fill out, and if they fill it out or pass or whatever, again the criteria is, then they're allowed to be validated members, and then you can check them off. I don't know. That could be one way of doing it. You can select tag members. Or just do select as all members. I usually leave this blank. I don't usually have this because I just share out the link to whatever I want. If you want to, so I can show the specific for this. This was, you can have I say something, a quiz, and then you can have a pass. So like, if you would just have to do the math, right? So if I was what I kind of screwed up last time because I can't do math. I can't do math, but I just didn't do a good job. One thing I'd have to fix is just the 1+1. It's kind of embarrassing, I guess. I kept saying 1+1 = 2, but then I kept saying that kept writing it down as 1, so that made no sense. But yeah, so this is the math section. And I can say, okay, well, select 2, right? 20 plus 25 is 45. And then 95, right? And so I hit next, and again, I was going to build this out to have it subtraction, multiplication, division, but since I don't have that, I can just go to the next and hit submit, and it'll tell me if I pass or not. Boom, you passed. 81 out of 81. I had it so a specific way of the math or whatever, but if I had not passed, right? So it says you have passed, my friend, good job. Now, if I was to go back and do that again, right? I'm just gonna do that and then do this again. Hit next. Let's say 3. Say I'm gonna do 45 again. Well, let's do 77. And then do this. I forget what I set the values to, but it should hopefully fail me. Yep. So you did not pass. No go. Please turn around and try again. And so it'll show you what I ended up getting, right? And so if we go back and look at um, this, right? So that's what this would be. So I could say something could be out of 20 points if this was a quiz, and then I could that custom message if I passed, which you saw, you passed my friend versus, the message right here, you did not pass, right? Put that down there and hit save, right? So that's what all of that is. And I would recommend playing around with this, right? Because, there's a lot of stuff here. Even I'm having, I've done this a lot of times, but I mean, even I don't remember all of it, as you can see. But that's why I have kind of like roadblocks to help me remember certain things, right? So, instructions though, I think the closing sentence, and again, I'm going to go to this one because again, I believe that the closing sentence here was going to be, yep, this is the closing instruction. So if I was to view this, hit start, and then I hit no, and then the next thing would say, this is the closing sentence instructions right down there. Um, so I've never used it for anything. I don't know what it could be good for, but it could maybe be good for something. I would say again, try it, figure out what you want to use your stuff for, right? Um, Message displayed on the submission confirmation page. And that page would look, um, if we were to go and to settings here, yeah, so if after you've submitted something, so let's see if I go and look on here, um, yeah, it would take a second to pop up, but essentially, because it's showing everything, oh wait, um, this is what this would look like, right? So I'm confirming that you have taken this poll at this time, right? That is, um, not actually, oh, again, oopsies. So it's actually right here. Let's do, it's either going to show up on your very, yeah, on, in your email, or it's going to, show up, um, inside the actual thing that you're doing. And I originally thought it was going to show up inside. I'm confirming that you, and again, I can't even spell after that. Um, let's figure out where I put that. Oh, okay. Yeah. This is showing up. Where is it showing? Oh, okay. So yeah, this is showing up on the email. Oops. And this is showing up on the email. And this one is going to show up, um, confirmation submission sentence, right here. And it's because I'm on a new survey. So this is going to be displayed on the confirmation page at the very end once you've submitted it. Is what this goes. This one is what shows when in your email, when you, after just showing you, hey, you've taken it, do you want to view your results or whatever. So I had those mixed around. It happens where it happens. But now, if we move on though, we can go down, and then we can look at the open close cap. So if you have this selected to yes, nobody besides maybe you, if with the permissions, right? If you, the author, would be able to edit this or view this, but nobody is able to take it, right? So having it set to no, this is pretty much like the main on and off switch. You can though customize ways of doing it so that it stops depending on certain conditions, such as the date. You can have an open date and then have a closed date, and then just make sure that you have these set to the right times. And then after that close date, it will no longer work. You can also set it as a cap. So cap meaning a number of users. If they hit a certain like 20 and you want 20 to be that number, anything after 20, they can't answer the survey. So that can be kind of nice. But at any time, if you just want to shut that survey down, you just do close survey and hit yes. And then moving on to access rights. Some of these are very basic and simple. Login required. If you don't have it set to login, so like student success awards, we do not have this set to login required because we have people that are submitting nominations for students who are not users generally in the platform. So we don't want this to be to be limiting. We want people to be able to submit nominations no matter what. So we don't make them have to log in and and so forth. Anonymous answers. If you set this to yes, it will show up so everybody's answers show up like so as you can see, these are not set to anonymous answers, right? But if I was to go and look at the favorite color poll, these are all set to nothing, right? So they're all anonymous. And so then that's how you can tell that's how you've got them set up like that. So oops, that was probably the one I needed. Oh no. All right. So disable editing. If you have this set to yes, once they submit the thing, they cannot technically go back into it and change it. So you can technically do that. You went to home from home, right? So you went down to my activity, you went down to my surveys and forms. You could actually go back in to something like this, right? So this is pending approval, but you could go back in and change it if you want and then hit save. So by selecting this to single submission, they can't do that, right? So, and then who do you want to be able to see the results? So say we'll use the Senate elections again as the example. If we have this set to say just me, then only I am able to see it, or if only Cole is able to select the Cole, only he's able to see it. Nobody else is able to, and they get told that they do not have the permission. And then privacy is who can answer no. So like access selection is who is allowed to view the results. Privacy is who is allowed to answer the survey. And so I have it set to some users only, right? Versus which technically in this instance is everybody, but I, you've seen this before in other trainings. These are the general basic access rights, and you can select this to anything. So there's that. I would also just make sure to point out if you make settings on any one of these tabs across the top that you're saving at the end of each page, so, oh, I'm done making changes to this one, but I want to go over to the rest of these. I hit save and then go to it because it will not save it otherwise. Or at least it has not seemed to be saving it. Then you can do other things in the notifications, like select an officer who should receive a notification upon that a submission, right? So right now it's going to say every time this survey, the favorite color poll gets submitted, a notification in the form of an email will get sent out to me, right? So it can be good sometimes, but I just want to warn everybody that sometimes it can actually be very not good when you have a lot of different you have a lot of people answering it, right? So just because yeah, your inbox is going to get flooded with a bunch of these things. And then if this was more of a quiz, if they got something was approved or denied, or if you approved or denied it, again, if you go and look and you've got these pending ones, if you approve it or deny it, depending on what that choices, you would get a response sent to whoever is put in here, right? So, and then I have a tag, so a submission tag that says poll answers. So as soon as somebody answers the poll or answers this survey or whatever we want to call it, we're technically on a poll right now, it's going to say poll answered. And I have all of these different ones that I have created. And those can be created by going to your more tools, and then tags is the second one down, right after hubs, and then you would go down to the submission tags, um, right here. And so as you can see, I've got all these, and poll answered is one of them. And so therefore I can then, so you have to kind of create this ahead of time, to be able to use that feature. But once you do that, then you can go right back and then select it, and then it will put it down every time. And then when a submission is approved, you would then say, yay, this submission is approved. Boo, this has been denied. Or if it's been put on hold. So if I was to say save, go back and look at surveys and forums, look at one of the math quiz and hit approve right now. I'll do it on one that's actually passed and hit approve. That's supposed to now send a thing in my inbox, that says that, and it'll just take a second, but that says that, hey, and it'll have that custom message right there about, that says, hey, yay, this is an approved submission, right? So it's kind of nice to have something that can say, okay, did this not go through, or this has been denied or been put on hold, please contact us, or if you have any follow-up questions. So right here, your math quiz has been approved. And then, well, it's supposed to technically do that, show up, but I don't know why it is not. That is a bummer. But I do actually have, and I can give an example of using this in real time with the executive leadership team. We have this set up so that any one of our things, if we were to actually look at them, right, and notifications, once the submission is approved, we have this thing that pops out down that says, thank you for signing up. If you have any questions, contact us. We don't have anything for these other ones, but so I know that this actually works. Again, though, this one is set as a forum, which it might be the reason why it didn't show, it's not popping up correctly. Maybe there's some specific permissions with it being a poll, or a quiz, and maybe that would be a good reason why, or it would be a distinguishing difference between those types. But yes, we do use those, and I know that they actually work. I've used those myself, and they have been very very effective, and they help you branding as well. And then I think that the last one that, yeah, so, and actually I will continue on this side. And so, yeah, I put on hold. Approval is if you want to hide the approval box. If you want to hide the approval box so that it doesn't actually have this pending approval, you can do that. But then you won't maybe know if you have something that is pending that needs to be approved. So just, again, know what you're looking to do, and then execute that accordingly. And then again, this field binding is so in this instance, if we wanted to link it to something specifically with an approval process, that's where we would do that, right? And so you have to basically set up the binding question, then tell in the settings of the form that you want it to then be overridden by a specific approval type or process, and then the thing works. Which is, again, if you ever get to that point, you'll let me know, but I don't think that many people might get there, or again, it might only be an admin setting that I'm seeing that you don't have. But yeah, so that's all that stuff shows. Now, I also, before we going in for the day. A couple of things that you have. Again, I always talk about multiple views and ways to see things. So again, these things were in the settings, right? Where we said sign in required. In this instance, it's saying login required, but it's the same thing. Sign in required, single submission, right? And disable editing. If you don't, they put those there so you could have a kind of a quick access way of being able to make those modifications if you need to. And there's that. If you have a way of tagging, so again, if you wanted to go down under more tools right below hubs, and then go to your forum survey tags, so right below forums survey submission tags, which we were just there, you can then create it right here. And again, you just have to do the prior creating of those before you actually utilize them. But you can then say, hey, I want to label this or whatnot. It can make it easy because then you can say, hey, I want to select only things from this. If you have a lot of forms, that can be very helpful. Then again, a couple of bits here. If we were to look on this side, right? Again, edit, lets us edit it. This lets us preview it and takes us right into preview it. This lets us, again, manage the actual form. If we had any submissions, meaning anybody who submitted it, it would actually, so if I was to do it down here, hit manage, it would show me all the submissions. But if access rights again lets us, it's taken right out of settings to let us decide who can answer this. This is what I do with the copy link. I always copy it so I can share it with anybody. So only if they have access to it, then they can use it. Then I can duplicate it. So if I want something that was very similar, and I did this with the executive leadership team with the Campus Fun Day, I could say can't copy that and then make that say for Goodman's Health. So that's one option. Logics is basically again, I'll get into that one at this last training coming up in a few days. But that lets you show or do specific things based on what is selected. I can invite individuals by actually mailing that to them, so that would then pick up using the email feature. Settings, again, we've kind of gone over that. Take us into all of the main settings, and then I can archive something which would then not show it up anymore, and technically wouldn't be usable to use it, but it would still allow us to be able to view it in terms of data and see the results off that. So if that was the case, you just say click on archived and filter it out from there, right? So that would be something that you could then do. But yeah, that's if you wanted to do that. I've only done that with a few. After every year, it's usually good practice. But yeah, that is in theory. And then I guess lastly, I kind of showed a little bit of this, but when you click on the actual, either forum, quiz, poll, what have you, and it will show you all of the submissions that you have. And then it will give you a general overview of who took it, when they took it, when they started, when they, submitted it, if they updated it, it would show the update. And then it would also show other things like, what their answers were, right? And so you can customize this to actually show, like if you're looking for just specific information, you can customize this to just show that specific information, and then you just hit refresh, and then it will then display that specific information, right? So if I'm looking to see what type of funding somebody is requesting, and that might not be the first question on the forum, I can select it in here as the first question, and then it would show it right away. So that's something to think about. But yeah, this is also where you would approve, deny, say it requires modification or put it on hold. You could type a message to the user if they needed to modify it, right? Then you could archive it as something from here, a specific one. So not just the entire thing, but a specific submission. Um, you can have private notes about it between you and your officers. You could save it as a PDF again as the officer, not as the person taking it. And then you can message again, kind of similar to here, message the person who took it. But then, yeah, you can generate a report of all the answers, right, as an Excel document. You can then also send an email to everyone who took it as well. And then you could get the stats, right, to see like, what were the answers, right? I think in this instance, because it's a quiz, it may not show it like that. I don't know. Usually it'll show you the answers, but like again, as you can see up here at the top, gives you all some of the same things that we've seen. You can edit it from the here settings, preview it, invite, which is the email and the link. Again, shows you all the same stuff. But yeah, that's all basically the same stuff. And yeah, that is in a nutshell um, what surveys and forms is the main gist of it. Again, the takeaways: know what you want to do, figure out what information you're looking to gather, figure out which specific one works best to your needs, right? And then once again, forms are for individuals collecting data, surveys are for multiple people that you can see the results and then filter out. Polls are supposed to be for one live thing and one question. Elections for electing people like your club officers. Quizzes or for pass or fail. And then once you know what you want to do, create the appropriate thing, and then you really utilize that preview and sometimes it might even help to just kind of sketch it out, right? And then you know what you want, but you do a lot of testing and then checking, testing and checking. And yeah, if you have any questions or if you need help with anything, don't hesitate to reach out to ELT, come by the drop-in hours, come see me or send me an email. Here to help, always here to help, even brainstorm. And then I would say I've done a good job of redoing the first one and combining it with the second. And yeah, in a couple of days here we'll do um, uh, the third training on this topic of surveys and forums, and we'll kind of get into that more logic stuff. But besides that, thank you very much. I hope you had a good time, and yeah, that's all I got. So later.